first time I came to this event 2 years ago, I actually thought I'd sign up for a speech competition. So I picked out a random global issue and gave a talk on nuclear power. Okay, so I'm obviously not a nuclear energy expert, and so every month or so, someone random sends me the video of my talk that's uploaded onto the TED website, and goes like, hey, you really don't know what you're talking about here. So I promised that I'd come back the second time to talk about something that actually resonates with me, and a perspective that I can truly bring. So I hope my talk, along with everyone else's today, will allow you to leave this room with more than what you came. So there's this one question that I've always been asked for as long as I can remember. And it's, how are you so good at math? Now, the reason I'm pointing this out isn't because I'm trying to brag or because it's any particularly interesting. The answer's pretty simple. I just got really lucky. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because I've had a lot of conversations with people that have asked me this question, and in that process I've learned a lot about how people perceive talent. And I've discovered two really important things about talent that I'm going to share today. The first is that everyone is talented at everything. When I was in year 5, my teacher was explaining the concept of fractions to the class. I thought it was pretty intuitive. It was just division with extra steps. But I took one look around all my classmates, and all their faces looked like they thought our teacher was speaking in a foreign language. Now that really confused me, and so at the time I came to the conclusion that maybe I just got put into the slow class. Now if any of my year 5 classmates are here, I'm really sorry about that. I don't stand by what I said 7 years ago. But anyway, why am I talking about this? Well, in that year 5 class, I had thought of myself as the baseline. So naturally I just thought, hey, is everyone else just really bad or something? But me right now would tell myself back then that maybe, no actually, maybe you were just good at fractions. And so the upshot here is, a lot of people don't realize that they're talented at something just because their skills aren't extremely flashy or incredible to a point where it's out of this world. When we think of talented, we think of LeBron James, or the piano prodigy on national TV, right? But really, who gets to choose what counts as talent and what doesn't? Now, I think it's really helpful to visualize this in terms of degrees. You might not be a prodigy, but you can still be pretty good at something. Now, I saw this exact situation unfold again just a couple of weeks ago, 7 years after I first experienced it, and this time it was in my economics class. So my friend, who wasn't a particularly high achiever, he got pretty average grades, was really confused why our class took so long to cover this one topic. We'd already spent maybe 4 lessons on it, and by the second, he was just messing around in class because he'd already understood everything. Now, he said to me, hey, isn't this really easy? How is anyone struggling with this at all? What he didn't realize at the time was that he had a talent. Even if it didn't put him on national TV, understanding something at 4 times the speed of everyone else, that's a talent right there. I honestly think that the reason we're unable to conceptualize the idea that we can be talented at something is because we're so used to seeing ourselves as the baseline, as the benchmark. So, because of that, we just discount the idea that we can be talented or even good. Now I want you to just for a second think about just about anything that you can do. It can be a skill, it can be something you did. Now I want you to now think of that as your talent. Because who's to say what counts as one and what doesn't? Now the reason I'm talking about all this isn't just so we can appreciate ourselves more, even though that's a big part of the puzzle. I think there's also practical implications to this. There's a really common phenomenon where people tend to look at others who achieve less than them as maybe lazy or doing something dishonorable of some sort. And you see this all throughout society. Think about discourse around homeless people, for example. But I've also seen this happening within the realm of my own school. There's a trend that people like to look down on others who get worse grades than them. Now, what they often don't realize is that they get better grades because they're more talented, not particularly because anyone's made a personal failure. And just think of it like this. Think of it like a marathon. In a marathon, everyone gives it their all. At the very least, they give it to 95%. Still, some people finish faster and some people finish slower. But that doesn't mean those who finish slower are failures. All that means is those who are faster were more fit. Or in other words, more talented. There's a statistic that 75% of people think that they're above average. Now, on face value, that seems like a lot of arrogant people. But I'd actually argue that that's a good thing. That maybe we should be using our recognition of our differences and acknowledging things that we're good at. Not to put each other down, but to understand ourselves and each other better. So the bottom line of all of this is, you are talented in far, far, far more ways than you think. Now, the second thing I discovered about talent was that everyone is equally as talented. I actually came to this conclusion just not too long ago when I had a conversation with one of my old friends. For some context, he can solve a Rubik's Cube in under 8 seconds consistently. And he's also nationally ranked in Singapore. If you ever tried, you know exactly how hard that is. And he said to me, why couldn't I have been good at English or math instead? That really confused me because I thought something like that, something like what he could do, was really cool. I wish I could do something like solve Rubik's Cube in under 8 seconds, right? But then he said, well, I'm getting C's in school and my mom's telling me to quit playing with Rubik's Cubes. And I never really thought of it that way. Because I had always thought other people had much cooler talents than I did. Just picture being that person who wins 4 gold medals at the sports carnival. Just picture the aura there, right? But my talent was practically useful just because it was applicable in school. And this really happens all too often. When was the last time you saw someone who had to give up their dream sport or their passion just because they had to focus on their academics? Now, the upshot of this is, all of us have really cool talents. All of us have amazing talents. It's just that the way society is structured picks and chooses which ones of them to value. In my view, solving a Rubik's Cube at lightning speed, being an incredible footballer, and learning advanced mathematics, all these are equally as cool. But the problem is, we're forced to go to school and only one of them helps you with that. Now, you might not be great at physics, but be a phenomenal dancer. But dancing is a part of the school curriculum, so you're out of luck. So I, by some miracle, got a gift that was aligned with what society wanted. Now, I'm not kidding at all nor am I exaggerating when I say it's a miracle. Because my best friend is a math prodigy, but of a different sort. He can do multiplication at lightning speed. If you ask him what 128 times 256 was, he instantly answered to you 32,768. Now, that's really cool and more impressive than anything I can do. But the problem is, we all get calculators in high school, so something like that is rendered functionally useless. Just because of that precise difference in what type of mathematics it was, turned it from being a phenomenal help to being absolutely irrelevant. So the next time you see someone who seems to be really talented or more talented than you, it looks like they know everything, they can do everything, and that there's no way you can catch up to them. Think of it like this. Maybe their talents are just more visible or more suitable for some particular purpose. It doesn't mean at all that you're any less talented than them. All it means is that what they can do seems to be a bit more useful. And here, I'd even posit that all talents have equally as much value. I know people that are far smarter than me, but also 5 years younger than me. We have 11-year-olds that can do even better mathematics than me, that humble me every single time I meet them. But I would never trade what I can do for anything that they could do. For the reason that my talents make me who I am. I grew up with mathematics, I grew up passionate about this, and at the very least it's constructed me into the person I am today. And that is what I think makes our unique set of talents meaningful. Not anything about how much money or how many grades you can get us. So just think of it like this. Maybe high school is giving you a hard time right now. Maybe it'd be great if you could walk into every test and ace it without even trying. But I promise you, your singing abilities, your dancing abilities, your Instagram following that you built up, all of these things that you can do, or just about anything, they're all going to give you lifelong memories where at the end of the day, you're going to treasure the most. Earlier, Megan told me something that I thought was really fitting, that you should all hear. Those people who got the highest numbers in school sometimes didn't end up finding their passion in the end. They might have gotten the best results, they might have been the most talented, but in the end, what really mattered was if you can find your passion and really stick to the talents you know the most. Now, I'm still 16, so I don't know whether this is true, but I think it holds some merit. And so I've given you 2 things today. First, that everyone is talented at far more things than they think. And second, that everyone is equally as talented. It's just distributed into different areas. Now I see this as a way of allowing us to understand ourselves and appreciate ourselves better for who we are. But also as a way of giving us a better understanding of each other. And so I really hope this has provided you with a perspective on talent that you might not have seen otherwise. Thank you.